The Ghana Refugee Board is justifying its decision to agree to a national security request to grant refugee status to the two former Guantanamo Bay detainees. The former detainees were arrested by the United States of America on suspicion of terrorism and sent to Ghana for 2 years on the closure of their detention center, Guantanamo Bay. Government was expected to take a decision on their status after the 2-year period under agreement with the United States government elapsed. But a Foreign Affairs Minister, Shirley Ayoko-Botwe, revealed the initial agreement had no exit clause as the two automatically become refugees.
One of the ways or options I was exploring was whether a third country will accept them. Unfortunately, at this moment, our hands are tied. I came to state the facts as they are. The fact of the matter is that these people were accepted into this country. No plans were made post 6 January 2018 for them. The American government, in the agreement, ceases to be a partner to this agreement in terms of the obligations post 6 January. And therefore, we are left with our obligations, and that is to try and integrate them into Ghanaian society, which is what the government then did by granting them refugee status. This issue, yes, directly has involves the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but there are other ministries that are also dealing with it. The other ministries are in direct contact with the two. We are not. We deal with the foreign policy aspect of it, the foreign relations aspect of it, because it involves another country, which is the United States. But we are in the middle of discussions. These are matters of security, of a security nature, and therefore I don't want to disclose anything. But that is why I left my statement open-ended, and I said that we are still consulting, and we will examine what we get from other agencies. And I think that is key. That is key in coming out. That is key. That needs to come out clearly, that the matter has not been concluded.
Okay, so it's not as if they are staying definitely, and that it's a conclusive decision that they are going to continue to stay in the country.
For now, we are saying that our hands are tied because they have been granted a legal status for them to stay here. Okay. Yes.
No other options for you to explore?
No, we are still exploring the options. For on our side, I'm still going ahead to explore options.
But you say even while we are that, the obligation to them from the government of Ghana continues. What exactly does those obligations entail? Are we still feeding them? Are we accommodating them? How much is that possibly costing us?
There are security obligations in the interest of our country. That will continue.
What does that entail? What exactly
I cannot disclose that. But when you have people who have been surveilled for 2 years, you don't just cut the surveillance after 2 years. Definitely, you will have to continue the surveillance. Yes.
And you say now they have family in Ghana. You mentioned something like that.
Yes. The two, since they came to Ghana, both of them have married.
Yes. They're married to Ghanaians?
Married Ghanaians?
No, not to Ghanaians. They're not married to Ghanaians.
And they also came from outside to join them.
I believe so. They're not married to Ghanaians.
And our obligations to them then entails their married spouses as well, I guess?
Yes, they married within the 2 years that the U.S. obligations had to take care of them, included taking care of them. Yes, so they're taking care of them and their families. We don't have financial obligations towards them.
Even after
the 2 years, we don't have. From where I sit, we do not have any financial obligations towards them. I believe that these are questions that you must ask the Ministry for national security. They would have details of this. Where I sit in my office, I don't have these details. I have the details that have to do with the agreement, what the agreement says. Anything that is behind the curtain of the agreement, I am not privy to.
Was this a bad deal?
I think that it was not a good deal, and it's evident from the sentiments that have been expressed by Ghanaians, and they continue to express the fact that they are not comfortable that the two were accepted and they live with us. But on the other hand, also, the reports that I have been giving are that they are of good behavior, they haven't been engaged in anything untoward, and therefore, judging on that basis, then you can say that they haven't, there's no need for us to be concerned.
Foreign Affairs Minister there, Shirley Ayoko-Botchwey. Let's go on the phone lines and speak with a private legal practitioner, Nana Ejeba-Fuewa, on what he makes of these developments. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
Good morning, my brother, and thank you for having me on your program.
Right, it's great to have you with us. Now, you are quite vested in this issue. You took this case to the Supreme Court, challenged it on the basis of Article 75 of the Constitution, saying that government should not have entered this agreement without taking it to Parliament for ratification. Looking at the way this issue has developed, are you satisfied with the processes that has gone on, or the spirit of your court case has not been, met?
Now, first and foremost, we had gone to court on the basis that Article 75 had been flouted, to the extent that the president at the time, John Dramani Mahama, failed to have the agreement ratified by Parliament in accordance with the Constitution. That was the basis of which we went to court. The court subsequently, agreed with us by declaring the action of the president as being unconstitutional and ordered that the agreement should be ratified within 90 days, dealing which the two detainees, the two settlers, quote unquote, should be returned to wherever they came from. And so, therefore, to the extent that the agreement was ratified in accordance with the orders of the Constitution,
right?
We don't have any grievances. But let me say that when we went to the Supreme Court, and we brought an application for the disclosure of the agreement, and subsequently it was disclosed. From that day, I knew that people were not going to go back.
Okay.
It would be very hypocritical on the part of anybody, particularly the former Deputy Attorney General, to be making the allegations he's making. Because he was very much aware that per the nature of the agreement that had been entered into by Ghana, under the leadership of John Mahama, and from what he said in court, he was personally the person involved who advised or was involved in the negotiation of that agreement.
Okay.
And so he was very much aware that the people was brought here to be integrated into the Ghanaian society. So why is he trying to throw that into the eyes of the people? He was brought here, they were brought here to be integrated. There was no exit plan in the agreement. The 2 years period, more or less, was an initial period. And then they were to be subsequently integrated. Look, brother, when I saw the agreement, yesterday I started it on the sister station. When I saw the agreement, I wept. I asked myself one of many questions. I asked myself whether or not the people that to the agreement, whether they engage lawyers. And so when the former Deputy Attorney General said he was personally involved in the negotiations of the agreement in court, then I said, then that question was resolved. So then there was a lawyer involved. So if there was a lawyer involved in the negotiations of that agreement, why did Ghana enter into one lopsided agreement?
Right.
Ghana had no benefit whatsoever in the agreement.
Counsel.
It was Ghana that had undertaken to perform various obligations under the agreement. Strangely. So why Ghana enter into such an agreement that was of no benefit to it?
Okay. Okay, Counsel, you have studied the agreement as you disclose now. Is there any way that we can go back and renegotiate the terms to seek for something more agreeable?
My brother, unless they were also dishonest to the Supreme Court by saying that the agreement they presented to the court, a copy of which was given to us, was not the complete agreement. Otherwise, if what we have is what they negotiated and what they tendered to the Supreme Court, then there's no exit plan.
But it's still within the power of government to withdraw refugee status on any refugee at all, isn't it?
Brother, government has that power, but we all know the ramifications of that. But you see, if you have entered into an agreement which says that you are going to reintegrate the people into the Ghanaian society, and you are undertaking that obligation, and subsequently you give them refugee status, what were you seeking to achieve? Don't forget, these are timelines that the Minister for Foreign Affairs is given as to when they gave them the refugee status. It's anything to go by. What it then presupposes is that during the pendency of the matter in court, right, they procured the refugee status for them, but they never disclosed it to even the court. They never disclosed it to the court. And so, if you recall, or if you've even read, when the Chief Justice was reading her judgment, one of the things that came up was, what is their status in this country? Are they refugees? Are they residents? They withheld even from the court. Okay, so from day one, there has been a deliberate and conscious effort to mislead Ghanaians. Whatever must have informed that, only God knows. Okay, but looking at what has already been done, how do you then withdraw that refugee status? It has got its own international, I believe it's got its own international relations implications.
But Ghana is still a sovereign state, and the state must take decisions that are in the best interest of its citizens, no?
Pardon?
I'm saying that Ghana is a sovereign state, and the government must take decisions that are in the best interest of the citizens. No?
Exactly. Exactly. But Ghana also does not live in isolation. And so if you have taken up a commitment, right, which obliges you to undertake certain obligations, okay, and you've been performing it for 2 years, suddenly you want to pull the plug. If you want to pull the plug, ask yourself, what is the ramification? Those ramifications, what impact is it going to have on our foreign relations, particularly with that of the United States of America? Don't forget, our Constitution even encourages us to make sure we live in peace with our neighbors and all people that we've got relationship with in other countries. And so it is an analysis that we all have to do within the context of what has transpired in the past. Okay?
So lawyer.
Pardon? Yes, sir.
Right. Even though you were initially opposed to Ghana entering this agreement without the ratification of Parliament, now you believe that we must accept things as it is, stay with these two people amongst us as they are?
I still don't think what was done was right. I don't think their stay here is right. I think that potentially it has consequence in the future. But
what sort of consequences?
No, security consequence. I think that, and that is instinctive. And it's also based on their socialization. These are people who lived among people who had been classified as terrorists. They themselves were classified as terrorists. Their various reviews, they found them as being potential threat.
Right.
Then subsequently, when it was time to even send them back from, release them from Guantanamo Bay. America, with its all security, sophisticated security resources, it didn't find them suitable to take them on. They could not also return to their home country. Their neighbors of their home country, which would have been more suitable to take them on, also didn't find the need to also take them on. But a country that has got its own security challenges, a country like Ghana, where Amobes can even go into the police custody and then release people that were being held in this country, we don't have what it takes.
So lawyer, lawyer, you have painted a very grim picture. In face of all of these circumstances within which we live, is it not prudent for government to try as much as possible to have another arrangement where these two do not live here anymore?
I think it might be prudent. It might be prudent. And that is what I would want. I believe that is what many Ghanaians may want. But you also have to ask yourself the nature of the challenge government faced in doing this. I'll tell you something. My mom always gave me one proverb. He said that when you find an elderly person being advised, it's either of two things. With the greatest of respect to your listeners, I don't intend to offend their sensibilities. But this is what she said. It's either the person, quote unquote, is a fool or is poor. Where do we find ourselves? Do we have the balls? Let's be realistic. Let's be very practical. Do we have the balls to now go back to America and say, take them back? When at the initial stage where they had request, I think that would have been in a better position to reject it. But when you have taken them on for 2 years, do you now have the balls to say, take them back? We need to be realistic as a people.
How different is our current state from our state when we were initially negotiating to have these people so that we could have refused a superpower like the United States, as you say?
My brother, at that point, you are not taking them on. You could have given many excuses why you can't take them on. You understand? Now you are taking them on. You've lived with them for 2 years. Anything that the most apparent excuse you can give is their threat to national security. You've lived with them for 2 years. Question is, would you want to say that they've exhibited any conduct that poses a threat to national security? You can't go to America and say that. But we all know that these things are long-term. They don't happen overnight. The possibility of indoctrinating people, right, exists. And all these things, they can happen over a period of time. And when they do happen, right, that is when you have that justification. Now they haven't happened. So you can't go back to them. Okay?
Okay.
Now, so we need to be realistic. We need to be very practical in our situation. At the point of request, you can say, no, I can't take them. I think that I've got too many security issues to deal with. But now I can't take them, so I can't take them. Now you've lived with them for 2 years. Let's be practical. It was a very bad decision that was made at the time.
Right.
The contract was poorly negotiated. It was not negotiated. It's a fact. It's a fact. And so I think that the minority in Parliament, particularly a comment by the former Deputy Attorney General, I find them very unfortunate. We should not reduce debates in this country to the level that we have reduced them to. I think that is inappropriate. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Nana J. Bafwewa. He's a private legal practitioner with much vested knowledge in this GITMO 2 affair.